G'day everyone and welcome to LA 4038 Legal Ethics and Trust Accounting. This is a Priestly 11 subject, one of the 11 areas of prescribed knowledge that every law student has to complete in order to be eligible to apply for admission to practice in Australia. There's a bit more to it than that though. Ethics is not one of those subjects that you can do at university and then brain dump immediately after the exam. Every year while you're in the profession, you'll be expected to complete further continuing professional development in legal ethics. Every time you open a file, every time you perform a conflict check, every time you deal with a client or an opponent or with the court, you'll need to know and to follow ethical rules. I can't emphasise this enough. This is not a profession where the ethical rules are set out as window dressing or as a polite fiction that everyone then ignores in practice. Over the next 12 weeks, we're going to look at real ethical challenges faced by real lawyers in practice to try to teach you some skills and some understanding that you can bring when faced with your own unique ethical dilemmas. Now, the starting point for us is the idea of a profession. We say that the law is a profession. What exactly does that mean? You see, these days, as a society, we've started using the word profession as a shorthand for any job where you get paid. We talk about professional hairdressers, professional athletes, even professional influencers and professional gamers. Professional becomes a word simply used to distinguish those who get paid from hobbyists and amateurs. However, profession also has a proper, more technically accurate meaning. There are, in fact, very few true professions. A profession, according to the Australian Council of Professions, is a disciplined group of individuals who adhere to ethical standards and who hold themselves out as and are accepted by the public as possessing special knowledge and skills in a widely recognised body of learning derived from research, education, and training at a high level, and who are prepared to apply this knowledge and exercise these skills in the interests of others. Based on this definition, there are very few actual professions. The health sector has a range of professions, including doctors, nurses, allied health professionals, and veterinarians. Engineering has a range of professions, including civil engineers, computer engineers, and architects. And what we might call the advice sector has a range of professions, including financial advisors, perhaps teachers, and of course lawyers. Hairdressers, gamers, taxi drivers, retail staff, chefs, cleaners, actors, musicians, and AFL players don't qualify, no matter how talented they might be, and no matter how much they might earn. So let's break down the meaning of that term, professional. First up, it's a disciplined group of individuals. That means that a profession is governed by a disciplinary structure, and those who practice in the profession must submit themselves to that professional structure. During this course, we'll learn about the Legal Services Commission and the inherent powers of each court, both of which are mechanisms for the discipline of legal practitioners. Second, members of a profession adhere to ethical standards. Obviously, a large part of this course will be spent teaching you about those ethical standards. But you have to bear in mind the definition doesn't just say that members of a profession have a set of ethical standards or a code of ethics. No. We become a profession if we adhere to ethical standards. We have to actually do it, not just say it. Third, there must be special knowledge and skills derived from research, education, and training at a high level. You can't become a professional merely by having an aptitude. You can't become a professional by obtaining skills on the job. Realistically, to be a professional, you must obtain a university degree, and in the course of that degree, you must obtain special knowledge and skills. In our case, that means you have to complete the Priestly 11. Once you've completed your law degree, including the Priestly 11, then you can say that you have acquired the special knowledge and skills of a lawyer and that your knowledge and skill was derived from research, education, and training. Fourth, you must be prepared to apply your knowledge and your skill for the benefit of others. This sounds like a bit of a wishy-washy statement. It's not. It has a number of practical impacts on the way that lawyers operate. As you'll learn in this course, lawyers are first and foremost officers of the court. Our duty to the court, and therefore to the community, is even greater than our duty to the client. Second, the very nature of being a lawyer is to be the representative of another person. Sure, they pay you fees, but your objective in return for those fees is to secure them the very best outcome that you lawfully can. You are able to stand up in court on their behalf, and the court will allow you to do so because the court knows that you will be making your very best endeavours for your client. Finally, the legal profession actually contributes tens of thousands of hours a year of free or heavily reduced legal work, simply in order to provide public benefits. Lawyers work for free in community legal centres, in the Women's Legal Service, in the Prisoners' Legal Service, in various organisations for refugees. They work for next to nothing when accepting legal aid matters. Many large firms have pro bono arms. At a lower level, many firms provide substantial goodwill discounts to deserving clients with limited funds. More than most people will ever realise, this is a profession with service to the public at its very heart. Now, all of this is very different in some ways from the public perceptions that people have of lawyers. In the most recent Roy Morgan survey of public perceptions of various occupations, just 26% of Australians aged 14 or over regarded lawyers as very high or high for ethics and honesty. High Court judges got the nod from 66% of Australians and Supreme Court judges from 63%. Nurses, however, were trusted by 88% and doctors by 82%. Even public servants edged out the legal profession, 27% to 26%. This is sometimes not helped by our political leaders. For instance, in 2014, then Premier of Queensland Campbell Newman made an appalling attack on legal practitioners who were representing outlaw motorcycle gangs. In our system of justice, everyone, from the purest and most innocent person to the worst of criminal offenders, everyone is entitled to legal representation before the courts. And the lawyers representing them must do their very best, even if they don't like their client, even if they're appalled by their client. The lawyers representing the outlaw motorcycle gangs were conducting themselves in the very best traditions of the law. That didn't stop Premier Newman from describing them as hired guns. Newman went so far as to say they take money from people who sell drugs to our teenagers and young people. His Attorney General, Jared Bligh, one of the most inept Attorney Generals Queensland has ever seen, forgot his own duty to the community and the Crown and supported the Premier's comments. The lawyers concerned sued for defamation and the matter settled a couple of years later. But how can you blame people for having a perception that lawyers are unethical when that sort of nonsense hits the media? What can we do to stop this? Well, the only thing we can do really is to ensure that every day we practice the law, we do so in a way that we can be proud of, by developing and maintaining our skills and by deploying those skills as well as we possibly can in the interests of justice and the interests of our clients, and by doing so in a way that meets the highest ethical standards. In this course, that's what we're here to learn. In the second video this week, we're going to look more at the notion of ethics. What do we mean when we talk about ethics? How do ethics differ from other ways of controlling behaviour like rules or culture? Then in the third video for our first week, we're going to look ahead at the rest of the course and also outline the assessment process. See you in video 2.